Hi friends, with this video I bring to you the analysis of the INICET, the recently concluded INICET, that is November 2023, and by analysis I mean analysis of the physiology section, the questions that were asked on the physiology subject. And our first thing that I always observe, it's very difficult for a physiology faculty to analyze because physiology comes in every other subject of medicine, and therefore if I pick up this question and I say this is from physiology, but any other subject also can claim that it belongs to that subject, and therefore physio questions are the ones which I have selected, and with some sort of clinical application. So let's have a look at such questions, or rather analysis of those questions. Number of questions that were asked from physiology in this particular exam. 9 questions were asked, which could be pointed out that these are physiology questions taken from physiology books. So that's the point number 1. And this percentage remains almost the same every year, whether it is NEET PG. NEET PG has a higher percentage of physiology question, or higher number of physio questions, almost 15 or 17 questions from physio. Compared to that, INICET has a lower number, obviously, proportionately, the physio questions are asked. So I could find 9 questions which were from physiology books. The answers for those questions could be directly found from physiology books or from physiology videos, of course. Most of these questions or those topics were discussed in our videos. I mean, when we made the videos for the NEET PG preparation, these topics were discussed at length on all these topics, which were eventually asked in the this year's INICET November session. Now, coming to the difficulty level of those questions, but before I go to that, what were the systems? Well, as anticipated, general physio had 2 questions from general physio, 1 from nerve muscle, 2 from CVS, and other one question, 1 from CNS, 2 were from kidney, and 1 was from the respiratory system. Out of these 9 questions, 3 had clinical application. I mean, they were directly clinical application based. For example, FEV1 to VC ratio in the RS, or JVP and its application in the CVS. So these were the clinical application based questions. 2 were image based and 1 graph was asked. Of course, the graph was, I mean, I've seen that students always find graph questions difficult to tackle. But this graph, which was asked from renal, once if you know from which part of the nephron what all things are reabsorbed, then it was easy to answer this graph based question. But out of the total number of questions on physio, 2 were image based and 1 was graph based. So almost 1/3 number of questions were such image based or graph based questions. The other questions were mostly factual type. Yes, there was 1 question from endocrine, and the other questions which I mentioned, the other systems like general physio, nerve muscle, etc., they were mostly the fact based. Once you know the fact, that MCQ would be very easy to tackle. So what was the difficulty level? Now here, I would say the difficulty level was, as expected, 1 notch above the difficulty level that is there with the NEET PG exams. I mean, particularly with physiology, we see every year that the questions change a little bit. And what I find is, from the explanatory answers of the previous year's questions, this year questions are formed. So difficulty level, it goes just 1 notch above the previous level, previous year's questions. Same goes for this year's INICET November session, that the difficulty level per se was as expected for the INICET exams. Whenever you are preparing for INICET and you have reference point as the NEET PG questions, then yes, it's okay. But what you should do in such a scenario, you have previous 5 years NEET PG questions. Can you prepare with those questions for INICET? Yes, you can. What I would suggest is go through the explanatory answers and read a little bit more explanation about those particular topics. My observation for this exam, and not only this exam but all the previous exams, is that the topics are the same. I mean, questions are asked from the same topics. The question gets changed, and if you have read the explanatory answers very well from the previous questions, you will be able to answer this year's exam, or the questions. So that's my one suggestion. And the other one is, once you have seen this is the topic on which repeatedly the questions are asked, go to the books or go through the videos and see whether there is any image given in the book, any graph given in the book related to that particular topic, and try to learn that graph, learn that image. Because I've seen, if one year they ask a question on pain, for example, then next year some image related to the physiology of pain. This has been the pattern for last 5 or 7 years. So in short, this was the analysis for this year's physiology questions asked in the INICET exam. Look, physiology as a subject, since it comes in every other subject of medicine, therefore, whether you are preparing for NEET PG, whether you are preparing for INICET, my suggestion would be to give extra time for physiology, and especially you should focus on general physio, nerve muscle, CVS, RS, kidney, these 5 systems, and if the time allows, then CNS. Because mostly the questions, as this year's exam, mostly every year, the questions mostly are based on these 5 or 6 systems. So give time, and with every topic, try to read the clinical application also, which will stand you in good stead for the other subjects preparation as well. As I mentioned, in CVS, it could be JVP and its clinical application. In RS, it could be COPDs, FEV1 to VC ratio, or pulmonary function tests. In the kidney, you may have diseases related to the kidney, GFR, tubular reabsorption, etc. These are the topics on which mostly the questions are repeated, and even clinical application also is asked from these particular systems. So that was a summary of the analysis of this year's INICET November 2023.